Welcome back to Mr. Nightfear, where the stories are dark and the truth is sometimes even darker. Tonight, I'm diving into a story sent in by a listener named Elle. It's a tale about a town where the unthinkable is not only allowed, but expected. A place where the line between right and wrong doesn't exist, and something sinister seems to lurk just beneath the surface. So, grab a blanket, dim the lights, and let's step into a world where murder is legal. Imagine growing up in a small, picturesque town, the kind with perfect green lawns, white picket fences, and neighbors who wave as you pass by. Sounds idyllic, right? That's what Elle thought too, until she was old enough to understand the truth about Brightwood. In this town, there's no law against taking a life. Murder isn't just permitted, it's part of the culture. They call it the urge, a mysterious compulsion that strikes without warning, pushing ordinary people to do the unthinkable. Elle was just 8 years old when she saw it happen for the first time. She was sitting in a cozy little cafe, sipping on a peanut butter chocolate milkshake, the kind with extra whipped cream that kids love. The bell above the door jingled, and a man walked in. He was ordinary. Jeans, a flannel shirt, a friendly nod to the waitress. He even winked at Elle, a playful gesture that made her smile. But then, without a flicker of emotion, he pulled out a gun and shot 2 people dead. The cafe didn't erupt into chaos. No one screamed. No one cried. Elle's mom, sitting across from her, just leaned over and whispered, "Keep drinking your milkshake, sweetie." And Elle did, her eyes fixed on the whipped cream as the bodies were quietly carried out, the blood mopped from the floor. She noticed flecks of white mixing with the red, and her stomach twisted, not out of fear, but something else she couldn't name. The man who'd just killed sat down, ordered a burger and fries, and ate like nothing had happened. That was Elle's first brush with death in Brightwood. You'd think a town where murder is legal would be a war zone, right? People killing left and right, no consequences, no remorse. But that's not what happened. Murders were selective. They only happened when someone felt the urge. It wasn't random chaos. It was a ritual, something the townspeople accepted, even embraced. Ella's mom explained it when she was older. The urge, she said, is like a weight in your chest. When it hits, you have to act. It's not about anger or hate. It's just a need. Elle's mom told her about her own first kill at 17. Her math teacher. No reason, no motive. Just a sudden, overwhelming desire to end his life. She described it with a smile, like it was a fond memory, a bedtime story to lull Elle to sleep. But that smile, it scared Elle. It wasn't warm or loving. It was empty, like something was missing behind her mom's eyes. Elle started to wonder if one day that same emptiness would look back at her, or if her mom's next urge might be directed at her. Growing up in Brightwood, Elle lived on edge. Every morning, she'd wake up, press her hand to her forehead, and ask herself, "Do I want to kill anyone today?" It wasn't a game. It was survival. Her parents prepared her for the inevitable. Her dad taught her how to hold a knife, how to aim a gun. Her mom showed her how to, well, let's just say, how to make a body disappear. They wanted her to be ready when the urge came. They wanted her to fit in. But not everyone in Brightwood was so eager to embrace the urge. When Elle was in middle school, her neighbors, the Jensens, did something that shook her to her core. Their kids, Clay and Clara, were like siblings to Elle. They played together, ate cookies, laughed about silly things. Clara dreamed of being a nurse. Clay used to tug on Ella's pigtails to tease her. But one day, the Jensens, they killed their own children. Not just killed, they cannibalized them, turning them into bone broth. Elle couldn't wrap her head around it. How could parents do that to their own kids? Days later, she saw Mrs. Jensen outside, holding an empty hose over her roses, staring blankly into space. Elle, barely tall enough to peek over the fence, called out to her, "Mrs. Jensen, are you okay?" The woman's response was chilling. "I'm fine, Elle," she said, her voice hollow. But when Ellie pointed out the empty hose, Mrs. Jensen just stared at it, like she didn't even see it. Then Ella asked the question that had been burning in her mind. "Did you like killing Clay and Clara?" Mrs. Jensen's answer was quick, almost rehearsed. "Why, yes, of course I did." But her eyes told a different story. They were empty, like black holes, stripped of anything human. Then, something shifted. Her smile twisted into a grimace, and she stumbled toward the fence, her fingers, still stained with her children's blood, gripping the wood so hard it splintered. "I want to go home," she whispered, her voice breaking. "Can you tell them to let me go home? I want to see my children." She wasn't looking at Ella. She was staring at something invisible, something only she could see. Elle ran inside, her heart pounding. Her mom brushed it off. "Mrs. Jensen is sick," she said, spooning melted ice cream into a bowl. But Elle wasn't so sure. She started to question the urge. Everyone said it was supposed to feel good, like a release, a weight lifted. But Mrs. Jensen didn't look relieved. She looked broken. By high school, the urge was in full bloom for most kids. The hallways were a free-for-all. Knives, guns. Anything went, as long as it wasn't in class. Elle saw attempts, but no one in her grade had gone through with it yet. Then there was Annalise Duval, a junior who rejected the urge. She tried to kill her mom, failed, and came to school screaming about laughter in the walls and voices in her head. Blood poured from her nose, her hands, her face. She was labeled insane, thrown out by her family, and left to wander the town, muttering to herself by the forest. Elle saw her sometimes, sitting cross-legged, eyes closed, like she was praying for the voices to stop. On Elle's 14th birthday, she thought the urge had finally hit. Her stomach churned, her head throbbed, but it was just her first period, not a call to kill. That same day, biking home, she saw a man swing an axe, severing another man's head in one brutal chop. The killer's face lit up with passion, a twisted joy as blood sprayed across his clothes. But then, his smile faded, replaced by that same vacant look Elle had seen on Mrs. Jensen. He kicked the body, grinning, but his eyes were empty. Elle pedaled faster, her lunch rising in her throat. She barely made it to the side of the road before vomiting. She didn't tell her mom. She couldn't. In Brightwood, you weren't supposed to feel sick at the sight of death. You were supposed to embrace it. But Elle was starting to wonder if something was wrong with her. Was she destined to end up like Annalise, driven mad by rejecting the urge? Or worse, like Mrs. Jensen, hollowed out by giving in? By her 17th birthday, Elle still hadn't felt the urge. Her mom grew impatient, checking her temperature every morning. Her smile forced. "You're almost 18, Elle," she said one day, her hands clenched into fists. People are noticing. They're getting suspicious. She mentioned doctors, MRIs, tests to make sure Elle was normal. The pressure was mounting, and Ellie felt it everywhere. Her parents' expectations, the town's watchful eyes, the fear that she'd never fit in. That morning, Elle bit into an apple when a sudden pain shot through her mouth. Her vision blurred, and the room began to spin. For a second, it felt like her world was cracking open, as if something strange was slipping through. A loud, hysterical laughter echoed inside her head. The walls around her flickered, fading in and out. Elle clutched her mouth, her heart pounding. Was this the urge taking over? Or was her mind trying to warn her of something darker? Her mom's voice cut through the noise. Elle, are you okay? Elle lied, said she was fine, but the laughter lingered, faint but real. She checked her teeth in the mirror. No loose tooth, no blood. But the panic didn't fade. Annalise Duval had complained of a loose tooth before she lost her mind. Was Elle next? Was she about to unravel? Just like the others who couldn't handle the urge or who gave into it too deeply. As Elle headed to school, her mind wouldn't stop. The laughter, the pain, the flickering walls, it all felt too real, too wrong. And then, out of nowhere, she was cornered by Kaz Isaacs, a kid who'd nearly lost himself to the urge 2 years earlier. Kaz was different. He didn't kill because of some mysterious compulsion. He killed because he was angry. Elle remembered that day in math class, when Jessa Pollux wouldn't stop tapping her pen. Kaz snapped, grabbed a knife, and drove it into her skull. The look in his eyes was pure euphoria, until it wasn't. He collapsed, blood dripping from his mouth, his hands shaking. That same vacant stare Elle had seen before. Kaz was an outcast now, whispered about in the halls, and yet here he was, standing in front of Elle, his eyes wild with something she couldn't place. "You feel it too, don't you?" he whispered. "The laughter, the walls moving. It's not the urge, Elle. It's something else, something they don't want us to know." Elle froze. She didn't know what to say, didn't know if she could trust him. But deep down, she knew he was right. Something was wrong with Brightwood. The urge, the murders, the empty smiles. It wasn't natural. And now, with the laughter in her head and the world flickering around her, Elle was starting to wonder if the truth about her town was far darker than she'd ever imagined. And that's where Elle's story ends. For now. She didn't say what happened next. But I can't help but wonder what she found out. Was the urge really just a compulsion? Or was it something more sinister? Something controlling the people of Brightwood? And what about that laughter, those flickering walls? If you've got any theories, or if you've got your own creepy stories to share, send them to me at Mr.Nightfear. Until next time, stay safe, and maybe check the locks on your doors.